Notary signing agent, startup costs. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on, guys? Victor Chambers here, New Jersey Notary Public and Notary loan signing agent in the state of New Jersey. And in this video, I want to talk to you about the startup costs of not just becoming a notary, but also becoming a loan signing agent. Now, I'm going to go through several products and services, and so that you have easy access to what they all are and where they all can be found, I'll put links down in the description below. Some of them will be affiliate links. You can use them or not, but I just want to provide value and be helpful to you if you're getting started on your journey as a notary public or a loan signing agent. Another caveat I want to make is that when getting started, my costs may not be your costs. You may be able to find the same items for cheaper or more expensive, just depending on how available those items are. But I'm just going to kind of go through what my costs were. I think there were some mistakes I made in terms of how I purchased certain products. I could have got certain things for cheaper, or just maybe been a little more patient with or done a little more research with buying certain things. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that as I go through some of the items. But the very first thing and the most important step is actually becoming a notary. In the state of New Jersey, the process is actually very simple. It's either a paper application or an online application. And the last time I checked, the online application was $30. The paper application was $25. I actually did the paper application. I became a notary back in 2015 or 16. So I paid $25. So we'll just say for now, just getting your notary commission in the state of New Jersey only requires an application and a $25 payment to the Secretary of State. Now, actually becoming a notary is a process in and of itself. Obviously, there are a lot of delays with the current pandemic where we're in right now, with the government processing applications and swearing people in and doing all of that kind of stuff. So there's going to be some delay with potentially getting your commission. So if this is even something you're remotely thinking about, I would say and highly encourage and recommend that you start the process as soon as possible, so that you can at least get the ball rolling, and then you can also work on some of the other things in parallel. But actually getting your commission is going to be the first and very most important thing to getting started. I would say the second most important item is your notary stamp. Now, this might sound trivial because it's just a stamp, but in many ways you can't really notarize any documents without having a notary stamp. So I paid $15 for my notary stamp. You can go to Amazon, you can go to the National Notary website and order supplies, but in order to get your stamp, you're going to actually have to be a notary, because on your stamp you need to, in most places, at least in New Jersey, you have to have your name, the date your commission expires, and your commission number. That's some of the basic information your stamp is going to have on it, at least for me here in New Jersey. Obviously check with your state and their guidelines for what information should be on your stamp. But again, I paid $15 for mine. I got it from Amazon. So in addition to getting your stamp, what I would also recommend is that you get an extra stamp. So that's another $15 for an extra stamp. And this is just in case you lose your stamp, you forget it, you misplace it. You always have an extra stamp that you can notarize documents with, because at the end of the day, if you only have one and you lose it, you're kind of paralyzed with being able to actually notarize documents and do this business. So I would recommend always having two stamps, a primary and a backup. Next, we have the NNA certification. Now, on the NNA website, they have several packages that cover several things with regard to becoming NNA certified. This includes your membership, your NSA certification or your notary signing agent certification. They have packages that include E&O insurance. They have packages that include your background check. It includes 1 year of a profile on signingagent.com, and some other little study materials and resources and books. I think they even provide a journal, an NNA journal that you can get started with. But I got the most expensive package, and this is probably where I could have saved a little money. That package was $259, I believe, or $279. I'll link that down below, or provide a screenshot to what those packages look like. The most basic package includes, I believe, the NNA exam, the NSA exam, and the background check. Those two are the most critical. You can add on other things later, but definitely you'll need the background check, and you'll need to, I highly recommend you do the signing agent exam and pay for that, because that'll be a good foundation to get you started on becoming a notary signing agent. Like I said, I probably spent much more than I should have. I could have gotten away with the basic package, but you know, I just kind of went all in on doing this. You don't have to do that, but that's just what I did. I probably would have gotten the less expensive package if I could do it all over again. The next item on my list is a course. So this is really optional. You don't have to take any of the courses out there. There's several of them out there offered by different signing agent coaches and programs that you could take. I took Mark Will's loan signing system. That's a very popular one. It's very well, you know, very much so recognized in the industry. When you create your notary profile on certain notary sites and signing agent sites, they ask you to upload certifications. Having that one is a plus, in addition to the National Notary NSA certification. I took the loan signing system. It's kind of expensive. It's about $500. However, the great part is, and $500 is the six-figure system. They have, I think, a couple of other tiers of programs. I'll also link that down below. But what I did over a year ago is I actually took the option of breaking it up into 6 payments of $88, because I didn't know when I was going to get started at the time, or how fast I was going to move. I just didn't dump all my money into paying the full $500 up front, so I broke it up into 6 payments of $88. The next thing is E&O insurance. Now, I went through Byberg to get an insurance policy. As I said before, in the package, in one of the packages the NNA offers, you can get $25,000 of E&O insurance, and that's for a year. I believe that was about $20 or $25, but it was included, like I said, in the package I've got. That's sufficient, I would say, if you're just going to be a notary and do general notary work. But if you're going to become a loan signing agent and you're going to do loan signing agent work, I would recommend getting a policy of at least $100,000, and a liability policy. Again, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not a tax person or any person like that. So I would recommend you definitely, you know, ask questions and talk to a couple of different insurance companies about what E&O insurance best works for your business and what you're going to be doing. I got $1 million policy through Byberg, and that total was about $460. I'm sorry, $426. But with this insurance policy, I could break it up for over 10 months, like with many insurance policies, like car insurance and things like that. So I'm paying $42.60 a month for a year policy for $1 million. Like I said, you don't have to get $1 million worth of insurance. You can get $100,000. I just got $1 million because, you know, these different signing services and title companies want to know, and I just felt like that would, you know, that would make a better, that would look better. So I got $1 million policy. $42.60 a month is what I'm paying for a year. The next item is a notary journal, which is the Modern Journal of Notarial Events. That was about $20. I also got that on Amazon. I like that journal compared to other journals I've seen because there's one line per signer, and on a individual line you can check off which documents you're actually notarizing in a loan package, or which documents are there. You don't have to do one line per document and have the signer sign, you know, 10 lines if there's 10 documents that have to be notarized. So I like the Modern Journal of Notarial Events. Again, that was about $20. Now, the next item that you definitely need as a notary loan signing agent is a printer. Now, you can't just buy any printer. You need a laser printer. You don't need color. You can get a monochrome printer, but it has to be a laser printer. There's a few different ones that people generally recommend. I have the Brother HL L6200 DW. When I bought it, it just had one tray, but you can actually buy additional trays. These were very hard to find because it just seems like everyone was ordering them. But like I said, I have the HL L6200 DW. That was a single tray. I also bought an additional tray for that printer so that I can have dual trays. I highly recommend a dual tray printer because it would just make your life so much easier. You'll need one tray for letter paper and one tray for legal paper to print loan documents. For the printer alone, which was just with the single tray, was $235. And then the additional tray was another $148. You can buy these all together. It wasn't available when I was ordering, but there's other Brother printers and HP printers out there that you can get. I would just, like I said, recommend you getting a dual tray printer. So you'll be all in on a printer for about $400. Now, if that's a bit too steep for you, you can just get a single tray, laser printer that can do both letter and legal, and then you can use software like Page Separator. There's a software called Page Separator, which I think is only available for Windows, but Notary Rotary also has where you can upload a PDF onto their site, and they'll split the document based on whether it's letter or legal into two documents, and then you can print those two documents individually. Now, I tried doing that, and it works, but it is a lot of work. And I say that because once it splits it, you have two PDFs. You have to print the letter, you have to print the legal, and for every signing, you're going to have two copies of the package. So not only do you have to print the letter PDF, but you have to print the legal PDF, and then you have to stack it back together so that it's in the order that you got it. And then you have to do that twice because you have to print two packets. I found that to be extremely time consuming, and especially when you're doing signings and you have a full day of signings. Sometimes you don't get documents till the last minute, sometimes an hour before the actual signing. So you have to print it, check the docs, and then actually travel to the signing. I just thought that was so inefficient. So I just, bit the bullet and bought the extra tray, and it makes life so much easier. So I would highly recommend having a dual tray printer. It really is a necessity. But again, if you're tight on funds and you have a little extra time to spare, use a Page Separator software to print the letter and then the legal, and then, go on about your business. The next critical item, in addition to having the printer, is paper. Now, you can get legal and letter paper from almost anywhere. Target, Staples, Office Max, Walmart, any of these places. For the most part, you can get a pack of each paper to get started. I got mine from Office Max at the time. I bought one pack of legal paper because most loan docs only have a certain, a smaller amount of legal pages. And then I got 3 packs of letter paper just to get started. That should be sufficient enough for you to do your first few signings, make some money, and then actually you can go buy cases of paper once you know that, you're going to have steady business and you're actually getting consistent requests for signings. But to get started, 1 pack of legal, 3 packs of letter paper, that cost me about $33 just to get started. Will be good for you, I think. The next item is a notary bag. Now, I kind of underestimated this because I have several book bags and different bags that I've used for different purposes, but having a dedicated bag just for your notary supplies is actually pretty crucial, because you want to have one bag that has everything you need so that when you have a signing, you can print your docs, put your docs in that bag. It has to be big enough to fit legal paper. So you want to have a bag that's big enough, that's dedicated to your notary business. Everything that you need is already in there. Your pens, your PPE, everything that you need is there. You can just grab your print your docs, put them in your bag, and go. You don't have to worry about whether you have everything all together. It's super helpful. I got my bag on Amazon. It cost me about $40. So for the next item, we talked about the printer, we talked about the paper. I would actually also recommend you get an extra toner or a ink refill, which it's called a toner. And this is because the toner that typically comes with these printers is just kind of a starter toner. It's not going to last very long. It may get you through your first 2, 3, 4 signings. But the worst thing in the world is to be printing docs for a signing and then to kind of start seeing your pages come out with lighter ink and not having a refill. So you always want to have an extra toner laying around. The best way to do this is that when you are running low and you need to replace one, you have an extra that you can put into your printer and then immediately order a backup, so that you always have an extra one on hand. And obviously, if you have extra money, order a couple backups. But in general, the toner that I used is a high yield toner, and it costs about $110. So it's a little pricey, but obviously you absolutely need it to print docs and to actually do signings. And the last item that I would say that is critical is a lot of blue pens. Now, you can get blue pens from anywhere. I believe I paid about $10 for a pack of 20. I think I just grabbed them from Target. But there's a certain pen that I did buy a pack of 12. I believe it cost about $12. I'll link that down below as well. It was recommended by one YouTube video I saw. I haven't used them yet because I'm still using the pens I initially bought, but I would recommend buying a lot of pens. You'll go to signings, and sometimes the signers will, on accident, keep the pens. And then with, the pandemic we're in, a lot of people are very finicky about, the items they're touching. So when I go to a signing, I always, if I'm using the same pens, I would, wipe down the pens and sanitize the pens, right in front of the signers before every signing. Or, you can obviously throw them out, but you can sanitize them, and I think they should be fine. And I do that right in front of the signers. I've never had an issue with them, feeling any kind of way because they're using pens that I've given them. But sometimes signers will also want to use their own pens. I recommend them using the pens that you provide so that everyone is signing in the same ink. That's important for your docs to look like they were signed at the same time by all the signers, and the ink is consistent throughout. That's definitely important. And that typically in most states and most title companies and signing services will require you to use blue ink, but you obviously have to check with your state, check with the title or escrow company that's giving you the assignment or the signing service. They'll typically tell you what kind of ink you need, but for the most part, it's going to be blue pens. You should also have black pens just in case they require black ink. So based on the items I bought to get started and the amount of money I spent, it was about $1,100. I'll give you the exact amount here. That was my total startup cost. Like I said, there's ways you can save money and not spend what I spent, find items cheaper. I've heard of people finding used printers on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and significantly reducing the cost that they their expenses with regard to getting started. So you can do any of those things. I just kind of went all in and bought the stuff I needed, and just paid what was required to get started. But I spent about $1,100. I have made all of my money back already, so that's great. And I've been doing this for about a month. Some payments I'm actually still waiting to come in because you don't get paid right away. I'll talk about that in another video. But $1,100 was my cost. I can very easily see a way where you could spend under $1,000, between $500 and $700 to get started in this business. But obviously, that would depend on your state. That would depend on how much you spend on each of these items that I mentioned. But very feasible to get started in this business for under $1,000. Now, in addition to the items I've already mentioned in the cost, I want to go through a few, other items that potentially come in useful. These are not very expensive items, but I think these are just some additional expenses that and things that you'll have to spend money on that will be very useful. So one is a website. So you can get a Google site for free. If you want to purchase a domain, you can go to GoDaddy or StableHost or any of these other domain providers and buy your own domain, or you can just use the Google site domain that's typically free. You can order business cards. Those are typically very expensive, no more than $20, $30, $40 to get 500 or 1,000 business cards. Those come in very useful when you are on signings and you want to leave. Obviously, you're leaving a package of documents with the signer. It's nice to kind of paperclip one of your business cards in there as well, just in case they have any other, notary needs. in the future, or maybe they're an investor and they have other properties and they're refinancing or they're buying real estate, they can actually use you as their signing agent. So business cards can come in very handy. Post-it notes come in very useful, either when you're labeling documents or you're to indicate what they are, or you're using post-it notes to or the little arrow post-it notes to kind of point out where all the signatures are and the documents. That comes in handy when you're prepping docs after you've printed them, before you go to a signing, just so that you're familiar, especially when you're new, where all the signatures are on the docs so that you don't miss any signatures. Another useful item is large binder clips, large or extra large binder clips. They come in very handy not only when you're shipping documents out to keep the papers together, obviously, but then when you're giving a package of documents to the borrower, you're giving them their copy, having them binder clip together just keeps them very neat. And I usually use manila folders to hold my documents in, both the borrower's copy as well as the signed copy that I drop off to FedEx. I keep it in a manila folder with a binder clip, and I put it in the large pack bag that FedEx provides that you can ship docs in. It just helps protect the docs. Obviously, you want them to arrive at the title company in one piece. And the last item I would say is PPE, or personal protective equipment: masks, gloves, and shoe covers. Often, especially in this environment, you're going to be signing in people's houses, so it's good to have, you'll want to wear a mask. You would want to have shoe covers just in case the signer may want you to take off your shoes. I'd rather just put shoe covers on because I don't want to walk on other people's floors. With my socks, I just rather put shoe covers on. Never had an issue with people. People have never had an issue with me wanting to do that. Some signers, will say, don't even worry about the shoe covers. They won't require you to take off your shoes, and that's fine as well. But having shoe covers is very important. You want to have some latex gloves you can wear, just so that you can limit your contact with surfaces, especially when you're at a signer's house. They might feel a certain kind of way about you touching certain things as well. So having some latex gloves that you can wear during the signing is also they're also very useful. So that's pretty much it for startup costs and supplies. Like I said, I'll put links down below to the main items that I've used and I've purchased to get started in this business. And again, these costs may be different for you. Hopefully you'll spend less money than I did, but in any case, the costs are very reasonable. And if you think about it, a lot of these costs, like the printer, are one-time expenses, because obviously you can use your printer over and over again. Some of your ongoing expenses will be paper and ink or toner. Those would be the major things that you have to continuously buy. Those are relatively cheap though, and you can buy them in bulk to kind of bring your costs down. But the overhead is relatively low, which is actually a very attractive thing about this business. So I hope you found this useful. Feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the costs I've mentioned here, and all the best to you on your journey in becoming a notary and a notary loan signing agent. I'll see you next time.